Well, I know you all just couldn't even hold it in your bodies on our way here because you were so excited to talk to Guy. Can I hear just how much Forza is excited to hear from Guy? Okay, that was solid, but I bet okay could do a little better. Now, Hobbly, you gotta show him up. Guide him, can you do better? Okay, all right. Amonor? Wajani? Cole? And Electrify! Everybody.
I mean, that's the best welcome I've ever gotten to any event ever.
Well, they asked to do that,
Of course. You had nothing to do with it.
Of course. Now, Guy, you've had such a thrilling career, and we're excited to hear about it. Let's actually start at the beginning. Who are you, and as a person and an entrepreneur?
So, Guy Rosen, nice to meet you all. Also, always excited to be here. I've given this talk for a few years now, and a big supporter of Meet, everything you guys do. So today I'm the Chief Information Security Officer at Meta. That means I think about how we keep our systems safe and secure. I have been at the company for almost 13 years. And I worked on a number of things, including security, trust and safety, but also growth, built consumer apps used by billions of people around the world. But while that makes me sound like this corporate guy who works at some boring big company, not so boring, I also I'm a startup guy because I came into Meta through a startup that was acquired. I built a startup called Onavo. It was acquired in 2013 by what was then called Facebook, today Meta. And I never thought I would stay. I thought, hey, I'm cool. I'm got acquired. Awesome story. You know, we're all very happy. The team had a great home. I'll probably hang around just for a couple years and then go back to start my next startup. But I kind of got addicted to the place. It was fun. It was an opportunity to have impact at scale and do things and learn things that just beyond anything I could ever imagine. And here I am 13 years later.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Y'all were 13 just a couple years ago. And you know, I'm wondering about the test that you faced when you first started your company.
Many tests, actually. So my startup journey started late 2008. I always knew I kind of wanted to start a startup and go down that entrepreneurial journey. And I worked at a few startups, and then late 2008, I left the last startup I was working for because I wanted to start my own company. It was kind of a wild time. The economy had crashed. My wife was pregnant. I actually had no idea what I was going to do. I was just like, I will start a company. What will it do? No idea. And so I hung out with a few friends. There was, I think, around 4 or 5 of us who we'd worked together for, at that point, I think about 10 years. And so we're like, of course, we're going to start a company together. It's going to be awesome and amazing. And we spent time ideating and building a bunch of things. And we got a little temp office somewhere in Tel Aviv, I think, even not far from here. And then we argued and we fought and we could not agree on anything. And we parted ways. Maybe 6 or 9 months later, I think. This is sort of at some point into 2009. And I was kind of wrecked. It felt horrible. I completely lost confidence. I thought maybe this dream I had was something I could never do. And I just sat at home sort of sulking and trying to pick myself up. I went to a therapist. I went to a coach. And then slowly started to pick myself back up and just started to ideate and to spend some time like with myself thinking about ideas, meet a bunch of other entrepreneurs and get their feedback. And eventually to just pay the bills and get by, I freelanced just as a coder a couple of days a week. I would go to some other company and That's where I ended up meeting Roy, who would end up being my co-founder. He just was sitting a desk across from me.
My goodness. And let's dive a little bit deeper into how you met your co founder and how you built such a successful relationship.
Yeah, the co-founder relationship is literally the number one most important thing at any startup, any venture, because it is just so defining for the DNA of what you do and how you build and what you build. So with Roy, so we kind of knew of each other. We worked in in similar circles, but we didn't really know each other. And when we ran into each other again, as again in my 2 days a week, like freelancing somewhere, we started hanging out and we had lunch. And he's like, "Hey, I've been thinking about leaving this company and doing something." I'm like, "Hey, I'm actually like, I'm on the market, as it were." And we realized we were thinking about things in a really similar way. But something I did, learning a lesson from that first round that completely crashed, was a lot of expectation setting up front. I really remember we had like a day or two where we sat down and we just talked about everything. We talked about our dreams and our hopes and our fears. We talked about what we wanted to do, what the roles were. So, like with the first crew, we were like, of course, we're friends. Hey, who's the CEO? We're friends. What do you mean? We never decided on any, nothing was said explicitly, and that actually led to tension later. With Roy, we sat down and we agreed. I would be the CEO, he would be the CTO. We agreed how we divide things up. We agreed where we wanted to go, what kind of company we wanted to build, what, are we dreaming of a big IPO? Are we dreaming of getting acquired? Of course, you can't control your destiny that much when you're two guys in a little apartment, but you can at least align on what your dreams are and what they aren't. We wrote down a founder's agreement. We literally had a formal contract. His sister's a lawyer. That was helpful. And we signed it saying, like, we are working together and these are the rules of engagement. And it's weird because it's a person who's like a friend. But really, for me, it was learning about that first experience that made me realize how important that is.
Now, let's raise our little pinky if we've had trouble of setting expectations in the past. Yeah, I see a few out there. Thank you, Guy, for sharing. Now, did you have any fears or doubts throughout that journey?
Always, constantly, every day. So here's the real deal about people running a startup or going through the journey. It's absolutely wild. It's a roller coaster. Everyone says you have ups and downs and highs and lows. But one of the really interesting things is you go to these like startup events and you hang out with people and it's like, "Hey, how's it going?" They're like, "Amazing." "Hey, listen, I raised like this much money and my customers are loving my product. We're killing it. Oh my God." And just hired this awesome employee. And you go to these events and you're like, "Oh my God, everyone's doing so well." Everyone is lying. Everyone is struggling. Their product barely works. Their customers are about to leave. Their employees are upset. They're running out of money. That is like the true story of actually every startup. But everyone puts on a really good show. Knowing that was the truth, it took someone telling me at some point. They're like, "Don't believe the crap you're hearing at a bunch of these events because everyone's struggling," for me to realize that my fears and doubts were actually shared by everyone.
Wow. We must continue to share our fears and doubts amongst each other. This is a pretty safe community. Now, how did you sustain yourself over an 18-year career of innovation and impact? In that time, what does time off even look like?
Um, okay, so I mean, sometimes people talk about work-life balance. I don't know. It's not that balanced. Let's be real. Um, but at least the way I've thought about it, I mean, certainly in the startup days and even at Meta during my 13 years at the company, is, I don't know, I call it sort of work hard, play hard. It's like when you work, you work. Like everyone's working on important things. Your friends, your colleagues, your customers, your users are counting on you. and you don't your pencil doesn't drop at the stroke of 5 p.m. That it just doesn't work. But then there's boundaries, and like the play hard is, for example, if someone is taking time off, they are off. Like, we respect that. Like, even today, on my teams at Meta, people work on some really important stuff, and it can be very exhausting, can be very intense. But when someone says, "Hey, I'm on vacation with my family," they're not on vacation and texting with their phone and dialing into meetings. It's like, no, you're out. Like, we will cover for you. And yes, it's frustrating when that person's out because that week something happens and they're the expert and you really wanted their input, but you will deal with it because next time you're going to be on the other side of that. And so there's something about sort of sticking together, sticking up for each other in really respecting those boundaries and giving people those opportunities. At Meta, for example, after 5 years, there's something called Recharge, which is like a sabbatical. You get a month off. Back in September, for example, I took my second recharge, went to Thailand for a month with my family. It was lovely. I literally uninstalled my email and my chat app that we use for work. I was like, if something is really urgent, you can WhatsApp me. No one WhatsApped me. Nothing happened. It's fine. When I came back, of course, okay, here's all the shit you have to deal with. But that's fine. That's part of the deal. It's like respecting people's time off, I think, is just really important.
I love that. And we just a few days ago had our own little version of Thailand. We had something called ODT. Does anyone want to give me 3 words on ODT? I actually just saw a hand. Darling, can you stand up? Yep, that's you. Can you stand up? Can you make your voice a little loud and introduce yourself to Guy and give us 3 words on what ODT is and what it meant to you? You can. Oh, great. Awesome. I heard the 3 words. We build a raft. And it was thank you, hun. And it was a really phenomenal experience for them to really get that play hard experience. Now,
Awesome.
I love it too. Now, we have a few questions from the crowd. Now we're going to raise hands. Oh, great job, y'all. I'm so proud. Dana, go first. Gonna stand up, say our name, what's our startup, and then we'll say our question.
Hi, I'm Dana.
Hi.
I'm a UX in Hobby. My question is.
Are we getting mics? Okay.
That was a wonderful start.
Thank you. My question until now you talked about money stuff, but I want to ask if you had at the beginning when you worked and you're a founder as a startup, an assumption that you thought, for example, as much as I am having more features in my solution, my app, and whatever, it's gonna make the customer happier and more satisfied. At the end, no. Quality over quantity. I'm gonna work on one feature, make it the best, and develop it as much as the customer would be more satisfied. Is there any assumption that we have to know from now to do not make it as a mistake from now and to take it into consideration that we hear it a lot, but it's not true?
I think quality over quantity absolutely is true. It's like, especially for startups, because a startup is small. It has limited people, resources, bandwidth, time, and figuring out like what are you focused on and making really hard decisions. What are you not going to do? Who is the customer that you're really building for? And then how do you delight them, build the best thing for them? And there's always 100,000 ideas for like, but those people could do this and those other people could do that. That creates clutter. It creates a bad experience for the number one client, customer, whoever it is, user that you have. And mostly for a startup, again, like it distracts you and you lose track of what you're actually doing. Look, when you're Meta, like if you look at Facebook app, just like a million things in the Facebook app. If you ever, does anyone use Facebook still here? Damn it. Instagram, still a million features. Come on. because we're large, we can afford to. We can afford to make those mistakes. We can afford to have a lot of people building a lot of different things and also a lot of trial and error. But particularly if you think about early days for any product, and that's true at Meta when we build new things, and that's true at a startup even more, focus, focus, focus. Like if you're not uncomfortable with some of the things you're deciding not to do, then you haven't gone far enough. You have to be uncomfortable.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go right here. Then we're going to go back to Yanai, and then we will shift over to the other side.
I'm Lara. I'm a UI in Hobbley. And I wanted to ask you, how did you know like how to start your startup? Like us in Meet, we get all the information we need, like the sorry, the impact vision and how to define our problem and like how to know like how to search our root problems. But like how did you get all the information you need? Like did you research it? Yeah.
It's a great question, and I think you guys are all really lucky to have this platform that helps you, first of all. So like use it, appreciate it, enjoy it. And I know even for basically from now until forever, the alumni network is going to be there with you. I have met and interacted with many alumni, and it's really cool to see the community continue for years. Part of it was the reason I worked at some startups before I started my own was for me learning and seeing without it being mine yet, because I'm like, I don't exactly know what to do, but I went to work for other entrepreneurs as like one of the first employees at a startup, and that was really helpful for me to observe and to see how that worked and to learn from them, learn the good things, learn the bad things, try to get as much as I can. But the thing is, regardless, like you have to always be learning, asking questions, looking online, meeting people and asking, because things change all the time, especially now in the industry with AI. Everything is changing all the time, and stuff that you're learning now might be very different 1, 2, 3, 4 years from now. And so always question your assumptions. Always go and be curious and ask and read up on blogs and any social network, whatever it might be. Of course, ours are the best, but you can do all of the others too, to try to get a sense of what people are actually doing, what challenges they're running into, how they're thinking about their startup or entrepreneurial journey or product management or design or UI, UX, marketing, whatever it may be, because those things change all the time. And I'm not going to sit here pretending I knew what I was doing. I had no idea. Like, we were just clueless, but we guessed our way through. And again, that's like the real secret is everyone's kind of guessing their way through. And hopefully with enough curiosity and enough questions and enough luck, you manage to make your way to the other side.
Just like the raft we built. So we're going to take that mic, we're going to send it back to Yanai, and then we're hopefully going to have time to round back over here. We're going to shift.
Thank you. Okay. I'm Yanai from the Amonor startup team. So you told us a lot about the startup itself, but you didn't tell what it was, like what is the startup? And also I would like to hear about the journey of actually publishing it and how did that go?
Yeah, it's actually it's a good question, because we pivoted or evolved or changed what we did multiple times. We launched, the company was called Onavo. We launched as a mobile data compression app. So on your phones, when you use mobile data, today it's like you get multi-gigabyte packs or whatever. Back then it was still measured in megabytes. I feel like very old when I'm saying back then. And we would basically, we built a system that would compress the data so that it uses less. You could do all the same things, but you would get charged less from your mobile carrier. We tried to build it for businesses. We went to companies. We said, hey, we're going to cut your phone bills. They were lukewarm. We built a consumer app. We launched it. People thought this was really cool. We had this really cool demo I did on stage at an event. I think we launched it at, there's an event called the Next Web, which is it's like a technology blog in Amsterdam. We did a big launch where literally live, I was like, you could see before and after numbers. It was really cool. It was very stressful to make sure the demo it was literally live demo, not a video. And we got lots of people to download it. I mean, at that point, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands. So we got users. We still had no idea what our business model was. We thought we would charge some people for it. Didn't really work. The whole in-app payment stuff was still very nascent and didn't really work back then. At some point, we realized a really interesting thing. We had lots of people using our apps, and because of the way the system compressed, where basically the data would go through our servers, we would be able to just know what apps people are using. Oh, there's more people using Spotify than YouTube. There's more people using Facebook than Instagram or whatever. And we started publishing really interesting statistics, just as sort of almost like a leaderboard of the top apps. That ended up being our business. People would come to us and say, hey, all these people are using your apps. And by virtue of that, you just have a really good understanding of the ecosystem. No personal data, nothing risky here, but you understand just which apps people are using at what scale. And that eventually became our business. We started working with many different businesses to give them these data reports. And again, like, you think about a business, oh, you have a big sales force and, you know, a product people log into. Literally, we had some data we published on TechCrunch, a tech blog, and then we started getting a few calls, and one of them was from a company they were like a music radio app. And it's like, can you provide this data to me on a monthly basis? Like, yeah. Would you pay for it? He's like, yes. So literally, I'm on the call. I'm like, how about $10,000 a month? He's like, okay. I literally made that up on the spot. Okay, I'll send you an invoice, right? Me pretending to have like a well-oiled business. I literally open like Microsoft Word, blank page, invoice number 0001, 2, and just type in the cost and send an invoice. And they paid. They were actually a subscriber all the way to the end. And that's how it started. And then we literally sent them like a spreadsheet. You know, a year later, we had an automatic system, and you'd be able to sign up, and we would produce reports on a live dashboard. But like the first times, literally, you are doing it on your own. And again, I had no team. We were maybe 20 people, but mostly focused on the consumer app for this business side of things. Like literally, it was me and one other person. We literally typing things in a spreadsheet and hoping for the best. So like, you have to be really scrappy, especially during those pivot points, because you haven't yet built all the muscle. But it worked. And Facebook ended up being a customer. They really liked learning more about the competitive ecosystem. And then at some point, we became part of Facebook.
Now we're going to shift right here. Little darling with the blonde hair. We haven't quite memorized your name yet.
So my name is Avishak Khazan. I'm with Electrify. And you mentioned that when you started the startup, you had a lot of ideas, but you didn't know which one to choose. How did you decide which idea is the best one?
The ideas sort of, I guess one idea turns into another. I can trace back even my first idea when I was literally on my own was a password manager. I can still trace how that became this mobile data compression thing. It seems completely unrelated, but there was like a core piece of technology that I ended up saying, well, this won't be useful. Maybe I'll use it for that. Well, maybe I'll use it for this other thing. So you sort of evolve it. I do think there's a really tricky thing, and there's no magic to this. There's no science to it, I would say. It's more of an art of the balance between conviction and openness. Because you take whatever it is, a pitch, an idea, a demo. These days it's really easy to build demos, and you put it in front of people. And endlessly have a million. I was like super caffeinated because I'd have a million coffee meetings all day long with a bunch of people, and every person I would ask for another referral, and many of them would tell me this is cool. Many of them would tell me you're an idiot. This makes no sense, and you have to pick and figure out who you listen to and what you take from those conversations. Sometimes you need to stick to your guns. You're like, yeah, this person told me it's a dumb idea, but I really think it's a good one. I'm going to stick to this. Sometimes people tell you it's a dumb idea, and you're like, you know what, maybe they have a point. And it's really pulling out the feedback that matters. Like, are they bringing a concrete new data point, something that changes an assumption? And I have, you don't really have assumptions, you have hypotheses at that point about how you think the world works or what people want. And if they change one of those assumptions with some real data points, maybe you need to switch a little bit. And so, again, it's more art than science. There's no one right way. Maybe some of our original ideas, maybe I should have built a password manager. There's awesome companies doing password managers, but here I am. So hard to tell.
Thank you.
Now, we really want to focus just there. Guy, of course, said many wonderful things, but he dropped a little secret in there. I don't think he noticed. He said every time he meets someone fabulous, he asks for another referral. Now, how many of us are going to take that and start using it? Yeah, there we go. Good job. Okay, now, right here, Razi.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Rosen. My name is Razi Dahle. I'm in the Wajjihni startup. And I'd like to ask you a question specifically relating to our mission and our goal. And as part of our mission, Wajjihni needs to reach Palestinian high schoolers in Gaza and spreads primarily through like peer-to-peer sharing over USB and messaging apps entirely outside any app store. And that means that we lose the store's built-in trust and integrity as students receive a raw file with no way to verify that it's the real startup, our real app. And given your work on integrity and trust on the scale of Meta, how would you think about establishing authenticity and trust for a product that deliberately travels through informal and unverifiable channels?
Ooh, that's a really interesting challenge. And maybe we should do some focus sessions on this. But the way a lot of this happened before the age of the app stores was there was sort of verification. You would download like apps or programs for your computer from like really random places, and you never really knew if they were the right ones. But there was like an official website somewhere, and it would have like a digital signature. Cryptographically speaking, it would have like the MD5 hash or SHA1 or 256 hash, and it would say this is the hash of the official package. If you get something that's a file and it doesn't have this, it's not the correct one. It might not be authentic, so beware. There's a bunch of tactics like that that try to verify and help people at least try to understand the authenticity of something that they may have downloaded elsewhere. Today on Android, where you can distribute apps, sideloading, so-called, at least it has some level of scanning that something's not malware. So that gives people some comfort that they're not installing something malicious. But it doesn't always work. It's not perfect. And people do tend to trust app stores. So it's a good strategic question, actually, worth sort of thinking about.
HDM5. Oh, go ahead. HDM5, side loading. Our vocabulary is just getting larger and larger today. We love it. We're going to head right here towards Jude.
Thank you. Very nice to meet you. My name is Jude Nasser. I'm a UXer, also part of Wajjihni. I wanted to ask specifically about your transition from being a solo startup to being part of Meta. How was it like negotiating a deal, being acquired? How did they contact you? And how was that process going from solo, a small team, a startup, to being acquired by such a large company today?
Yeah, it was crazy. So we started working with Facebook as they were a customer. They paid us in early mid 2013. And then things kind of warmed up, and they're like, well, we'd like to do more together. And we're like, yeah, but how do we figure this out? What other ways do we have to structure an agreement together? And then they sort of half jokingly drop. They're like, well, it would be simple if we were just the same company. And you sort of sit in that meeting, and I'm like, I sort of look across the table at Roy, my co-founder. I'm like, did they just say what I thought they said? Then things got serious. We met their M&A corporate development department. There was a guy there called Amin, who is one heck of a negotiator. Honestly, it was like 4 kind of miserable months of negotiating, hundreds of pages of lawyers arguing about every single detail, and I just want to get to the other side. And the thing is, you get excited about it. We really like the team, so we really thought in our heart, we're like, this is a good outcome for us, for the team. It would be an awesome home. We knew it would be building this thing. We were 30 people on the ground. Facebook that became Facebook Israel. That was my company became Facebook Israel. Now there's almost 1,000 people employed here. We knew we would be planting those seeds, but at any point in those 4 months, it could have gone sideways, and that was just terrifying. When I joined, one of the things in those 200, 300 pages, there was one page which said, Roy, my co-founder, you're going to be in engineering. Guy, you're going to be product management. It's like the least important page. I'm like, whatever. Like, not going to argue about anything. I don't even know what that means. I don't care. Where do I sign this bit? But that was like, once I joined, I realized, oh, now I'm a product manager. I need to really learn what that is. We didn't really do product management very well at my startup. And then I came to a company which had this DNA, this magical DNA of really building products for billions of people. They just passed the 1 billion benchmark, and we're heading towards the 2 billion milestone. And I learned from, honestly, some of the best people there are in the industry who have done this at scale and just incredible, analytically oriented, disciplined execution. I've worked for almost all of my years at Meta. My direct boss is Naomi Gleit. She is the head of product management overall. Amazing. Go to naomi.com. It's a great domain she owns. There's a lot of lessons for product managers there. There's even 2 that I've contributed as a sort of guest author. And I've just learned everything about what that means. So coming into a big company, suddenly from just running everything end to end, and yes, you still need to be scrappy, but suddenly learning these skills that would take me really to new places over the following 13 years.
So helpful.
Thank you.
So we've got Naomi.com. I also want to recommend a book called Chaos Monkeys that has a really interesting tale about someone being acquired and some of those challenges that Guy was starting to allude to. Now we're going to head the mic over here. There we go. And we've got time for about 2 more questions. So not too emphatically, but if you want to be one of those 2 questions, really give some good energy.
Hello, my name is Osama Kos. I am the UI of OK. I find your story is very inspiring. The thing is, I really want to ask you if you can walk us throughout your financial journey first. Did you have money as first as a base to develop your startup, or did you go to funders or stuff? And also, can you also talk about the competitors that you had in the market?
Yeah. So as I alluded early on, when I started and we were really just early, I just worked kind of on the side. I freelanced, went to write code somewhere at a company a couple of days a week. I liked it because I knew how to code, and it was deliberately something I didn't care about, which sounds weird, but I wanted the thing you think about in the shower to be my startup and not whatever challenge they were throwing at me. So I really just went to a place where I would sort of clock in, clock out, write my code, go home. Okay, I'm done. Now I'm thinking, I have the other 5 days of the week to think about my startup. In 2010, we raised money. We raised a round of $3 million from two pretty good investors, Magma, who I think don't exist anymore, Sequoia, who are a very big international brand name, and big funder, and they support companies around the world to this day. And then a couple of years later, we raised another $10 million from a few more investors around the world. And that helped us grow the company and hire the best people and get lots of introductions. A name like Sequoia really helped us knock on doors. That first customer I mentioned earlier was another portfolio company of Sequoia. So we met at some event, and then we had a relationship. And then when he called me, I was able to sort of at least have that basis upon which to build. And so we talked about co-founder relationships being really important, but the other really important relationship is with investors. And actually, with investors, in a way, it's not even more important, because the thing that sustains is the co-founder relationship. But with investors is like a one-way door. When an investor goes into your company, they're never leaving. In fact, like, founders will leave a company and investors will still be in a company. I mean, that's typically a bad outcome, and someone's, very unhappy, and the company's probably gonna run into trouble. And so really picking them wisely, because those people are gonna be, you think, oh, I'm gonna work for myself and I have no bosses. Like, investors and your board kind of, hold you accountable. But figuring out how you build that relationship actually and build the trust. And initially, look, like I said, I didn't know what I was doing. So they were providing great advice on the one hand. On the other hand, sometimes they were on my case. And I was like, why are they nagging me again? Can they just leave me alone? Sometimes they really saved us. We had some really tough times where we were in trouble and we were worried. And, they would call and just say, how can we help? We're here. What can we do? Other times we argued and we fought, but that's okay. But like, managing investors, managing those people it's also part of the startup journey.
And your Meet staff, your Meet alumni, and your Meet family will also always pick up your call. Now, who are going to be our last two? I'm seeing moderate energy right now. I need bigger energy. Oh, okay. There we go. Right here. Yes.
That's the energy data.
There it is.
Hi, I'm Mahmoud Ghbariye. I'm a PM at the Hobbly startup. Firstly, it's a pleasure meeting you, and I would like to ask about how you started from point zero, and now, given your current position, it's no easy task to do. And I want to ask about what was the most consistent thing that you were from the very point you started till this point, and you still do every day to maintain your success?
Ooh. Really, the constant is actually the friends and family around you. It's the people who support you, because I love your energy. Because like, you go through so much, so many highs and lows, and and you meet founders, and you fall out with co-founders, as I did. But like, honestly, like, my family was like always there for me in the toughest times, the toughest decisions I've always had to make. My wife Karen is like always been my number one advisor to whatever it is I'm doing. I think you need like a safe space. You need like the chill, the place to switch off. We talked about how you sustain yourself earlier. Having that support network, and look, family, it's friends, it's peers, it's everyone has their own thing. It's also like alone time. I, over the years, got into running, and I sort of find that like a way to re-energize and just spend some sort of time with myself and like good music or an interesting podcast or something, and switch off my brain for a little bit, because it gets very, very intense. And it's like really finding those constants. Like, so many things change. Everything changes almost around you, but having some constant in your life is going to get you through it.
Thank you.
Oh, we made eye contact first. Okay, pigtails, get up there.
Hi, I'm Limar Jismawi, and it's really a pleasure to meet you. I wanted to ask you whether you think working on a startup that was once built out of passion could that maybe you could lose that passion for after working on it for so long.
You could. I mean, it's a marathon. It you need to find what energizes you, and I think at different points in the journey, different things will energize you. I mean, through my years at Onavo, at my startup, and Meta, and maybe shortly we should say and cover, I've announced I'm leaving Meta. I'll still do this talk, I promise. You find different things that energize you. Sometimes it's the idea and the thing you're working on. Sometimes it's just the people. Honestly, I found the people to have, on the whole, been the source of energy even more, because sometimes it's like you have bad days, you have good days, you have, you make the sale, you fail, your product works, your product doesn't work. But like, who do you come in the morning and sit down with and celebrate with or commiserate with? I mean, even during tough times, I've had really tough times, including at Meta, where like we've worked on hard things and the world is angry and the headlines are bad and they're blaming and I had a bug in the system. But then you get on a call or you go have a drink with like your colleagues, your sort of work family, as it were, and you laugh and you commiserate and you cry together. And I mean, some of those people are just like friends for life now because of everything we've gone through together. And those people are really, I think people really sustain you. Goes back to the co-founder thing. Roy, my co-founder from the company, I mean, we're great friends to this day. I mean, it's been 13 years since Onavo. He also stayed at Facebook for about 9 years, I think. But we continue to be friends. Our families are friends to this day because we've, it's sort of forged in fire.
Now, hopefully, we might have a couple minutes left with Guy, but either way, we are thrilled to have his time. So we're going to finish out with just a couple more questions. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Choose wisely. I think the biggest thing, even just thinking about all the questions you guys have asked, all the awesome questions, is like pick your co-founders, pick your investors, pick the people first. Even now as I meet a lot of startups and different teams working on different things, there's always 3 questions that like I ask about a company I might be advising or investing in or working with. It's like, number 1 is the team. Number 2 is what problem are they solving? Distant 3 is what is the solution? Because the solution might change. That's fine. The problem, it's useful to have be in a good zip code, but it might change too. The team. If the team is good, and so for you as an entrepreneur and for my young self, it's like pick your team. And yeah, maybe I needed to have that failure in order to have the success later, but it definitely wasn't pleasant along the way. But I really think I did not appreciate just how important that was, and I'm glad I ended up finding my co-founder and my investors and then all the colleagues I've been working with at Meta for the past 13 years.
Good job. Y'all are consistent. So between the hackathon and today, quite a few of our startups have had to pivot and change their team. So it's really reassuring to hear that you experienced that as well.
Lots of it, yeah.
Now, for the exciting, what are you excited for in the next chapter of your career?
Yeah, so I actually really hard decision I made recently that I would be leaving Meta. I'm still here, still have my employee badge, to transition. It'll take time because I love what I do and I love my team and I want everyone to be in a really good spot. I'm going to be spending, honestly, more time at home with my family. Just to give you a sense, like in those early days when I was describing ideation and I said, remember, my wife was pregnant and I'd left my job. My daughter is 17. I think she's literally your age is. She's like going into 12. So Maya's 17. So that's how long I've been on this journey. So I'd love to be like more present for that last year she has at home. My second daughter was born just as we were acquired by Facebook. It was actually kind of a running joke in the M&A team. What would happen first? Would my wife give birth or would we sign the deal? My wife won. She was born 10 days before we got acquired. I got this massive bouquet of flowers from your friends at Facebook, it said. And then friends came by because it was top secret. They're like, who are these friends at Facebook that are sending you these flowers? Like, oh, no, there's just people I work with sometimes. I'm like, soon I will be able to tell the world that we've been acquired if we sign the deal. So yeah, I'm going to be spending more time at home, but also like I'm really passionate about the startup ecosystem. I am already finding myself just spending time hanging out with cool startups and entrepreneurs and seeing what's out there and seeing where some of the experience I've built throughout these years can help folks earlier on the journey. And maybe I'll have more time to spend with Meet folks. Ooh, the drama.
Now, we've only got about 10 minutes left, and we've got just about 2 bonus questions, and maybe, just maybe, there's time for one more question in the crowd. We'll see. No promises. Name one surprising business leader you admire.
Okay. Taylor Swift, by a good margin. Any Swifties here? Come on. No way. I can't believe it. Okay, if I'd asked this question in the US, it would be very different. Taylor Swift is, I'm a deep Swiftie, not just because my daughters are, but actually me. She is an incredible businesswoman who, beyond awesome artist, and I love the music, but the thing is, I initially just thought, hey, cool song, poppy, nice song to like listen from time to time. But then digging deeper, I realized like what a remarkable person and business and marketing expert she has become. There's lots of things on her journey. There's literally like tech and business podcasts that cover the business of what she has done and how she has built herself to be probably the #1 artist right now in the world. How she negotiated her way to re-own all of the original recordings. She's kind of like a startup when she was young. Basically, she kind of like startups sometimes give away too much of their company to an investor. So she gave away the rights to all of her first albums to someone else. So she didn't own all of her old work, and she really wanted it back. And so she went on this project of re-recording. Came out with great Taylor's version albums and did the marketing in a way that true Swifties like myself will only listen to the Taylor's version and not to the original version. But think about it just from a negotiation theory perspective. She realized she had an alternative, what you call a BATNA, and she negotiated her way to get more leverage and eventually was able to purchase her recordings. Obviously, the Eras Tour, I went twice, was amazing. I've also been to 2 other concerts prior to the Eras Tour. Yeah, she's awesome and lots to learn from. The fan engagement, we talked about like, do you engage with your best customers more or try to get to a wide audience? She does a great job of appealing to the masses, but having Easter eggs and little things in her songs that like true Swifties will recognize. For example, do you want to talk about our little Zoom call?
Yes, during our Zoom call, I only noticed one of his 3 Easter eggs that were Taylor Swift related.
So in the back of my, like behind me on a bookshelf, I have a couple of Taylor albums. I have a little room sign, which is a lyric from a Taylor Swift song. I also have a calendar thing, actually a Meet calendar giveaway which is because I can't be bothered to actually change the date every day. It's just set to December 13, which is Taylor's birthday. And so true Swifties will notice.
I got 1 out of 5. Oh, this is sounding worse. So we have just one more question on this side. So for a bit there, you studied physics in this grand journey of yours. How did your studies in physics affect your entrepreneurial mindset?
So I did for a little bit. So I went to university in Jerusalem, Hebrew University, studied physics just for a year, though, because between the first and second years, a few of us were talking about joining a startup or building a startup. And then initially I said, well, I'll just space out my classes and do it over a few more years while I try to balance both. And that lasted for all of 2 weeks. And then I left and said, but I'll be back in a couple of years. I got to finish this. That was 2004. Just saying. So, yeah. So, college dropout, sitting here. But I do think I still loved physics. Maybe now my new plan is when I truly retire and I'm old, I will go and study physics because I think it's awesome. And the thing it does is it tries to describe reality. And the thing you learn in physics, which I think really applies to entrepreneurship, is it tries to simplify things. You have to prioritize. Like a lot of physics things are actually really complicated, but in the math of physics, I don't know if anyone here does physics in high school and stuff, you kind of learn to discard things. You're like, it doesn't matter. Pretend, no friction, no this, no air pressure or whatever. It's like, that's not real, but it's simplified enough to be close enough. And that's really similar to what you do when you're thinking about a startup strategy, you're thinking about your product. It's like, yeah, there's complicated ways to do things if you really want to be perfect, but let's find the 80-20. I think that's really similar. There's also something in physics where there's different ways of looking at a problem that suddenly completely simplify it. If you try to describe like rotational velocity using a simple, sorry, I'm getting super nerdy here, like XY system, it's like insanely complicated. But then if you look at it through like a circular geometry, it's dead simple. You just have to look at it differently. And in startups and in product management strategy, I find that a lot. You look at a problem, you're like, I don't know what to do about this. This seems impossible to untangle. And then you find a different way to look at the problem, and you're like, oh, this is really simple now. There's only like 3 options for which product we build because there's only 2 customer types. And suddenly it's that moment that there is I find there's like a magic to that moment where it gets simplified. They're like, if it's simple, it must be the right way to look at it. And so in physics, you learn like the simple way is the right way. And I think that's a really good lesson for product management and strategic decisions at a startup.
Well, hopefully Guy may have a few extra minutes for us at the end. We are going to go ahead and wrap up. One of the lucky students is going to come up here and give a special surprise.
Oh, yeah. Get giveaways.
There she is.
Yay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amazing.
And Guy, do you mind if we take a quick selfie with all the students? That's what I was thinking. They said yay. Oh my gosh. I can't get enough of them.
Wait, it's horizontal. Are you allowed to take horizontal selfies? Come on. No, it has to be vertical.
If we could also get some help with our
I don't have my phone. Okay.
Your arm is a little longer than mine. Would you mind?
It is. My wife says I have a built-in selfie stick.
Okay, here we go.
I will try. All right, can we get everyone in?
Woohoo!
There you
Yay,
go.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been awesome. All right.